You know what's scary? Realizing you're 50 with no retirement savings.
I have been in banking for 30 years, okay? And it's getting down to the 11th hour of moving into that next phase of my life, aka retirement. And I went and put pen to paper and did some math and was horrified to find that I have enough money to retire for about 11 minutes. And I began to realize that no one is coming to save me. I'm going to have to figure this out for myself.
I left my job at 62. A lot of people assumed that I retired. And the reality is that I did not retire. I took a new job and I will probably never be able to retire.
I've been seeing more and more women post about being unemployed at 50, and I think it's time that I told my story. I've not told this story fully because there's just so much shame. And
who's going to hire a woman in her 70s? Nobody.
In today's America, retirement isn't a finish line anymore. It's a fantasy. Older employees who spent decades working are now being forced to stay on the job because the cost of living is so high they simply can't afford to stop. Seniors in their 60s, 70s, even 80s are stocking shelves, bagging groceries, and taking shifts just to survive. This isn't retirement. This is survival.
All right, so I'll give you the lowdown here in just a second. I'm here to pick up my stuff, but a bunch of you asked me to call the company out and do with it what you will. Do not harass the company, but I will let you know the company. There you go. Located in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. All right, so don't harass the employer, okay? But people asked me to call it out, so I'm calling it out just so that should anybody in the Chippewa Falls area want to work for them, just know that don't give a 2-week notice. But with that said, I'm going to do another video because my channel actually is over 1,000 followers now. Thank you very much for all that, and thank you for all the kind words. But I called it out just so that, people know. And I'll do another video because now my link in my bio works for my Etsy business, my e-commerce business. And also I added a Cash App just in case somebody wanted to buy me a cup of coffee or something. But I did add that stuff, and I will do another video all about that, but I had to stop and get gas. But you guys asked me to call it out, so I had at least 1,000 or so people, and I had people message me say, hey, I'm from that area. Will you at least let me know who the company is so that I don't, if I do work there, I just know how they operate. The supervisor's a good guy. I talked to him when I was picking up my stuff, and he was real cordial, real polite. The guy's name's Andy. He's a great supervisor to work for. And it just happened that his hands got tied. It made it into upper management, apparently, whatever the problem was. Again, I even asked him what it was, and he wouldn't tell me. So it wasn't his decision. It was somebody else's decision. It went all the way up into upper management, which would be Amanda in HR, and then also Troy. He's the one that's going to be taking over the company, and he's a millennial. And he's a business administration, or Matt has a master's in business administration or whatever. So his way of thinking is completely different than people on the floor. But I just thought I'd share that with you, and I'm going to get some gas, and then I'll do another video here a little bit later to talk about my Etsy link and the Cash App and all that stuff. All right, you guys have a great day. Peace.
Who's going to hire a woman in her 70s? Nobody. Let's be real. They're laying off people right and left. And I wasn't about to go look for a 9-to-5 just to supplement the income that I'm getting from Social Security. I'm Darlene. I'm just a regular grandma that said enough is enough. I'm not going to live in scarcity. I'm not going to, struggle these latter days. And so I went and prayed and said, God, I need something that will help me supplement. And thank you, Jesus. He definitely did it. I found a blueprint that was made by another grandma, and she's now become a multimillionaire in just a couple of years. And this automated system, this blueprint that she has us all working on a daily basis. I mean, how would you like to be talked to for 5 to 6 to 7 minutes a day, and someone telling you step by step what to do, how to make money online, how to attract customers, to e-learning courses and programs that we are blessed to be able to market at 100% profit. That's what I'm doing. If you have a phone, if you have Wi-Fi, and if you have a coachable spirit, I always say, you know, it's a new skill we have to learn, but it's not difficult, not at all. So do yourself a favor, not me, do yourself a favor and put ready in the comment, and I'll send you the same blueprint that she sent me. You will be pleasantly surprised.
This is exactly where America has failed its older generation. When a woman in her 70s has to openly say, "Who's going to hire me?" that tells you everything about the job market and the cost of living right now. Seniors should be resting, enjoying their families, and living off a lifetime of work, not scrambling to find another income stream, because Social Security can't even cover basic bills anymore.
I'm 59 years old, I'm still in the workforce, and I have a message for my fellow Gen Xers who are still in the workforce and want to stay there. And that is, if you do want to stay there, then you need to be and act younger. Do not appear as the old person in the office or in the company, because that is going to put a target on your back. And we all know when there's a target on your back, sooner or later somebody's going to shoot at it and you're going to lose your job. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but it's the way it is. There's a lot of ageism, and people want to get rid of the old, guard and replace old with younger, less expensive employees. It's just the way it is. So what do I mean by that? I mean, if you have a meeting, whether it's on Zoom or Teams or whatever it is, make sure you have a notepad document on the screen with the talking points that you want to say, with questions to answers you're going to be asked, with relevant data that you may need to know for that meeting. Make sure it's there and it's in front of you, because we all know as you get older, senior moments increase in velocity, and you don't want to look like you are, losing, your train of thought all the time. If there's software that you hate, don't understand, don't know how to send an email, whatever it is, don't complain and keep asking people over and over, how do you do this or how do you do that with the software? Google it, look it up, figure it out yourself. Be self-sufficient. Again, you don't want to appear as you're the old dog amongst young dogs, right? It's important. Don't talk about retirement, having to retire, wanting to retire. I can't take it anymore. Or, talk about aches and pains and ailments that you're going through all the time. Dude, I'm telling you, you may want to, you may be compelled to, but don't do it. It will, as I said, put a target on your back, and we don't want that. This is sad. But it's true. And you may have to stay at your job. You may have to, pay for your mortgage, your kids' college tuition, medical bills, whatever it may be. You just can't afford to retire, don't want to retire yet. Take my advice. Don't act older, act younger. Be the person in the office with the vitality, the vigor, and the street smarts, and you will last. Act old, seem old, appear old, and you will not last. That is ageism. That's the way it works. Unfortunately, it's true. We can't avoid it. I want to ask you, do you try to act younger at your job in order to be more relevant and not lose your job? Let me know.
I left my job at 62. A lot of people assumed that I retired. And the reality is that I did not retire. I took a new job, and I will probably never be able to retire. I went through a divorce in my later 50s and had to start over. Even though I can't retire, what I can do is I can reinvent. I can reinvent myself as many times as I choose, as I need to, as I want to. And I just want to say that your job is not everything. And I do get that for some people, maybe it has to be at this point in time, as mine was. But there's so many different things that you could do to make your life a little more enjoyable and not be taken down by your job. And that was really what I did. I just took my power back, and I found another job. And I just wanted to say that I think that we can all do this at any point in our lives. And I believe it, and that's how I'll live the rest of my life. And I don't even know if I would want to retire if I could. Well, I suppose it would be nice.
Hi guys, I'm here at job number 1 for the week. And I just want to say that I feel like I am so far behind in retirement. I even think retiring at 80 is a dream for me right now. I'm not even joking. Early retirement, I feel like, is out the window unless I win the lottery. I just think that me getting cancer and going through all that entailed, the chemo, the radiation, the multiple surgeries, still having to go every 6 months to get checkups and to get an infusion, and then also going through a separation and a divorce back to back is like a double whammy for my finances. And I just feel like plus I was a stay-at-home mom for 7.5 years before before me and my ex decided to split up and I had to go back to work. So, well, my ex, but I guess it was me too. I'm glad it happened, don't get me wrong, but it was definitely his choice initially, but now it's mine. I'm 43, going to be 44 next month, and I just feel like retirement is so out of the realm of, I just don't know. I was an idiot. I was an idiot, and I focused a lot of my time and energy on building his career. And I was like, it's fine. Because once the kids are in school, it'll be my turn and we'll work on me. And that didn't happen. And that sucks. But I can be a victim, or I can put my big girl panties on, which I do every day as a single mom, working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. And I can start really focusing on me and my retirement and my future. And also, I got 2 kids that I want to at least help with college. Maybe not put them through all the way, but help them. I don't know. Help me, guys. Help me.
This is one of the most honest and heartbreaking realities that people don't talk about enough. Here's a woman in her 40s, working 2 jobs, battling cancer, going through a divorce, raising 2 kids on her own, and she still feels like retiring at 80 is a fantasy. If that doesn't show how broken the system is, I don't know what does. She didn't fail. She didn't mess up. She lived a life millions of women live. Supporting her family, being a stay-at-home mom, building someone else's stability while trusting that her turn would come next. And then life blindsided her. Cancer, surgeries, treatment, a separation, and suddenly she's starting over from zero at 43. That's not stupidity, that's survival. That's strength.
Nurses are not eligible to retire until we're 67 years old. We have to work until we're 67 in order to receive full benefits. But they've blessed us with the opportunity for increased benefits if we work till age 70. Most of our patients are gone by age 70. The military, they get to retire after 20 years of service. The police, they get to retire after 20 years of service. Firefighters, they get to retire after 25 years of service. And teachers, they get to retire after 30 years of service. Of just those 4 professions that I've mentioned, all 4 of them have some form of protection. The police, it's obvious. The military, it's obvious. Firefighters have protection in order to do their job. There are efforts made to protect teachers, other staff, students. I get really angry when I think about this because as nurses, we don't have any form of protection. We are expected to be abused. We are discouraged from filing a police report. Actually, they'll find a way to fire us if we try to do that because they're not going to look like they didn't try to protect their nurses and their patients. And then if we are assaulted, we get asked, what could you have done differently? And during the assault, we're told to de-escalate. I'm like, how does the military de-escalate the enemy? How do the police de-escalate the criminal? What form of protection are firefighters allowed to wear in order to protect themselves? Typically, when the fire department is called, the police are dispatched as well. And schools have police officers on their campus, police officers with weapons. We come to work with a pair of scrubs. That's it. And we can't leave this profession until we're 67 in order to receive full benefits. And if they convince us to stay until we're 70, we can get increased benefits. 70 years old.
I did a video about ageism in the workforce for people, especially in their 60s. And many young people on here are saying, oh, they're not hiring them because they're going to retire soon. Saddest thing, guys. Many of them can't retire. A lot of them are going to be collecting Social Security. Social Security, look up what the average for Social Security is. Here, I'll help you. It's between this number and this number is the average for Social Security. Can you live off that much a month? This is not going to even cover most people's rent. Don't forget food, medication, and they're could be a good chance by the time that you're 60, not even this is available for you. I know people who are extremely sick going into work after surgeries because they need to work just to have medical. So even though a lot of 60-year-olds are capable, sure, they would love to retire. Some love to work, but many are stuck in the cycle. They have to work till their last breath because this is not enough to live off of in the US.
Do you want to know the dark truth? Every Sunday night, I prep for the work week, but not just for my job, but also to pretend that I'm not almost retirement age. I'm a 58-year-old Gen X mom, and most of the time at work, I feel like I have to hide that in order to be viewed as still relevant at work. I never lie about my age at work, but I also don't draw attention and clue people into the fact that I am much older than I actually maybe appear. Ageism is so real in the workplace, and I'm curious if you've experienced that along the way as well. Your experience shouldn't be a liability as you get older. You know, if you have experience on your resume past 10 or 15 years, then suddenly that can be a problem because they view you as maybe not as adaptable or relevant, or you might not stay as long, or you might want more money. People literally scrubbed their LinkedIn graduation dates because they don't want the ageist algorithms to pick that up, or for folks to have unconscious bias about when you actually graduated. And if jobs say they're looking for digital natives, that is so code for under 35. What's wild is I have so much to give. I have decades of experience with patience, perspective, things that you can't necessarily Google. But if you were to mention slowing down someday, people view you as, oh, you're checked out. I actually really love being this age. I feel more confident. I don't get rattled easily, and I know my worth. And sometimes it feels like you have to play this weird game. Just because I'm, making a strategy for retirement doesn't mean that I don't have ambition. I mean, ma'am, I have ambition. I have ambition to use my PTO and not die at my damn desk. I don't want to have to hide my age, or I want to really be able to be out loud and proud about that, because I have earned every wrinkle, every lesson, every damn year. I have earned that. And it's just such a shame, especially for women, and ageism at work. So I'm curious if you have experienced that too, and if you're vocal about it.
This right here is the part of the American workforce nobody wants to talk about. Ageism is so real, especially for women, and listening to her explain how she has to perform youth just to stay seen as relevant is heartbreaking and honestly infuriating. She's 58, she has decades of experience, patience, perspective, emotional intelligence, all the things companies claim to value. But instead of being celebrated, she has to downplay her age so people won't assume she's slow, outdated, or not worth investing in.
Do you know what sucks is being over 45 and trying to find a job in the marketplace, but I've got a couple of really good tips for you. And I think these are things that people don't typically talk about in the interview process, so I want to help you out. Your skills will get you to the interview, but once you're in the interview, your energy is what matters more than anything. Your energy is your personal brand. I'm a 58-year-old Gen X mom, and I have been in operational roles for the last 35 years. And I've always been a hiring manager in those roles. And I've also up-leveled my career in my 50s multiple times. So I feel like I've earned that expert badge at this point to give you some really good tips and tricks. I find that most candidates that come in that have a lot of experience on their resume and are older tend to be a little bit too formal, long-winded, or too serious is another one. The hiring manager will instantly think this person is outdated, they are a dinosaur, and we are not going to do that. Remember, age is not your problem, bias out in the marketplace is, so let's counteract some of that. So when you first come into the room, or if it's over Zoom or something like that, the first thing that you're going to want to make sure is that you've got a warm and inviting vibe. You want to make sure that you are smiling, that you are kind of sitting up straight, that the lighting looks good on you. You are making eye contact with the interviewer. You want to speak with natural and upbeat energy, and you're not trying to act young. You just want to come across as professional and lively. So what does that look like? When the interview first starts and it's your turn to talk for the first time, I always make sure that I show gratitude. So I will do something like, oh my gosh, I have been so looking forward to connecting with all of you this week, and I just first want to say I really appreciate you all making the time for this. I can't wait to get started. So now you're setting the tone with everyone in the room. It kind of lightens things up. And if you didn't notice, I did a little subtle thing where I showed how my hands were open. And that really is like a psychological trick that says, I'm approachable. I have nothing to hide. Now, the next thing is you really want to keep your answers crisp. They are going to probably ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. But don't launch into a 5-minute history lesson about yourself. You should have already strategically written this out and really thought about what keywords that you want to use, and making sure that this is like more of a Reader's Digest version of yourself. And, when you talk about yourself, you don't want to say things like, well, I've spent the last 5 years in the accounting department at company ABC. I think more importantly, you should say something like, I've spent the last 5 years working collaboratively with various teams within the accounting department. So do you see the subtle difference in how that just sounds so much more like a team player? So as an interviewer, that first version makes me think of you more of a person just kind of sitting solo in a cubicle. The second version in my mind has me seeing you up and about, talking with different people, various levels of leadership, and just being overall more valuable and versatile. So you want to structure that Reader's Digest version of you in a way that that's the image they're going to have in their brain. And in there, you don't want to just talk about yourself as a worker. Weave something personal in about yourself, because that will make you feel more human, and it starts to build connection and relationships with these people. So you might say something like, yeah, we just moved to this area because we really love living close to the lake, and we love to take our 2 dogs down to the lake on the weekends. They just absolutely love the water. That's building connection, and it helps you to stand out amongst other candidates. Next come the bigger questions, and you're going to want to aim for 60 to 90 seconds basically, and giving these crisp, clear answers that are not long-winded. And I guarantee most likely one of those questions is going to be, what's your strength? What's your weakness? I hate that question, but you need to be prepared. It's really important that you start with the result, and then you get into the how. So for example, maybe for a strength, you say something like, I'm strong at improving workflows and spotting inefficiencies. For example, there was this time that I saved the company 10 grand a month in paper supplies. So paper supplies got assigned to me, and I was ordering them, and I discovered that if I ordered on certain days versus others, it was a lot cheaper. So I kind of decided, what would be great would be to put in a system where we only ordered on the days where the prices were a lot lower, and as a result, it saved us 10 grand. And then for the dreaded question of what's your weakness, I think a great example would be, I used to really over-explain things, and then I learned that having more concise communication was far better. So for example, I've been able to get our trainees up to speed much quicker than my counterpart. And one of the things that I figured out was, during the training process, I was over-explaining things, and I was doing all the talking, and then the trainees were taking a really long time to become competent and up to speed. And what I did was I took the training material and I shrunk it down into more bulleted format and allowed them to ask more questions as we went along. And I just found that really ingrained the information in them much faster, and they were able to kind of get up to speed and be more competent more quickly. Okay, I've got a couple other videos that are already out there that talk about some different topics when it comes to applying for jobs and ageism, so check those out if you'd like that information. And if you want to hear more, let me know in the comments. I've got a lot more tips and tricks for you.
So I got laid off 3 weeks ago now. I took the first few days and cried. I think I was in shock. And then after that, I've just been contemplating life. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm actually really good at what I do. The industry I'm in is really slow right now, but I had a big milestone birthday last week. I'm 50. Turned 50. Yay me. I'm at this crossroads. I feel like I'm at a crossroads in life. Do I take the path I know and hope that I can find something? Or do I travel down some other unknown path in life that's scary and new? 2025 was supposed to be my year. I was going to work on my health, wealth. I had already been thinking, gosh, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. But again, so scary. I'm 50. I need some advice. I need some ideas. If you love what you do, especially at my age, or even younger than me, because I don't feel 50. I don't act 50. Not that 50 is old. I'm just saying. I still have a lot of energy in me. Still a lot of life. And yeah. So I gotta decide something soon because I need a job. So please share. I need some pick me up. I need to pick me up. I need to have some hope. I need to know that there's options out there. Yeah, some advice would be great. Again, what are we doing? What's everybody doing? What is confident, successful, fun women doing? I need some advice. Thanks, bye.
That leaves us with no income. Ask me if I care, because I don't. I don't care right now. It's the weirdest thing. My whole life I have been so, give me plan A, plan B, plan C, backup plan upon backup plan. I got to save every penny that I earn, save for retirement, and here I am, still 10 years away from retirement, and I don't give a rat's you-know-what whether we have a job that's bringing in money or not. It is the weirdest thing. So we're just going to build a business, enjoy our lives, sell a few assets, live a little bit more meager, and maybe that's not the right word, live more careful, and see if that can get us where we want to be, because I think where I want to be is happy and not freaking tired all the time. And I know what I don't want is him going to work 8 o'clock in the morning and coming home every night at 7 o'clock exhausted. So here we go.
I'm new here to TikTok with posting content, but I just felt the urge to get on here and speak a little bit. I know we're all having hard times these days. We're all struggling. We all have issues that we're dealing with. I just come on here to kind of open up, maybe help get some support in a time where I'm struggling as well. I hesitated on coming on here for the fear of worrying about what people would think. But, at this point, I really don't care. I turned 50 this year. Was hoping things would go well, would be a good year for me. I've been struggling with some things for a few years now. So I was hoping things would take a turnaround for me this year. I had news that I'm expecting my first grandchild, which is any day now. A lot of excitement. Looking forward to that. However, the job that I've worked at for 12 years, just informed us that they're restructuring. They were bought out and are restructuring and getting rid of the department that I work in. We kind of expected it, but at the same time, it was still a bit of a shock. I do have a month left of my employment. I do get a small severance. However, I'm the only one that pays my bills at home. My job is the only paycheck coming in that pays my rent, that pays my bills. And I'm really scared on the direction my life is going to take at this point. At 50 years old, I should be planning and looking forward to retirement soon. Not right now, of course, but soon. But instead, I'm having to take a different path, recreate myself, look for another career. And at this point, I'm scared to death. Just reaching out. Maybe someone can give me some tips on the direction I need to go as far as what I need to do. Any support, any information, anything that you can pass along to kind of help me would be much appreciated. I'm just hoping I find something sooner than later. But if anyone out there can just give me any suggestions, any direction on anything that would help me, I would greatly appreciate it. Hope y'all have a great day.
So, as we wrap this up, let's be really honest about what's happening in workplaces across America. We celebrate youth, we glamorize hustle culture, we talk nonstop about innovation, but we quietly push out the very people who hold decades of knowledge, emotional intelligence, and perspective. And somehow we've normalized this. We've normalized workers in their 50s and 60s feeling like they have to hide their age, scrub their resumes, remove graduation dates, and play a character just to be seen as relevant. But here's the truth. Age isn't a weakness. It's an asset. And if the workforce can't see that, then the problem isn't the worker, it's the culture. We have created a system where someone with 30 years of experience is considered too old, too expensive, or too set in their ways. Yet somehow we expect companies to run smoothly and teams to grow without mentorship, stability, or wisdom. You can't Google what comes from a lifetime of doing the work. You can't replace perspective with software. And this story is even more painful because it's coming from a woman, and women face a double standard. Men age into experience. Women age into invisibility. And that needs to be said out loud. Because the fact that a 58-year-old woman who loves her age, who feels confident and grounded, still feels she has to dim herself just to be taken seriously, that should bother all of us. What she's describing isn't insecurity, it's survival. It's adapting to a system that punishes you for the very things you've earned. Every wrinkle, every year, every lesson, those are badges of honor. They are proof of endurance, wisdom, and growth. And yet the workplace treats them like red flags.